In this lesson we're going to look at how to multiply mixed numbers. Okay, so let's look at the first example here. 5 1/3 times 3 3/4. Now the technique here is to change your mixed numbers into top-heavy fractions and then multiply them that way. So we're going to do 5 times 3 and add on the 1 to get how many thirds this is altogether. So 5 3s are 15, add 1, that comes to 16 thirds. And the same over here, we're going to do 4 times 3 and then add on the 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, add on the 3 is 15 over 4. Now, the next part is a bit of cancelling down. Instead of having to deal with 16 times 15, 3 times 4 is easy enough. Remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you go straight across. We can simplify this fraction down, trying to look for diagonal pairs that are in the same times table. So if you look here, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes you can't spot anything, but if you look here, the 16 and the 4 are both in the 4 times table. So instead of cancelling down right at the last minute, we can do that right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide both of them by 4. So divide that by 4 and put a 1 next, because the 4 divided by 4 is 1, and divide this by 4 and that comes to 4. So just division by 4. Next thing I want to do is I want to look at the other numbers diagonally and see if there's any pairs in the same times table. Now 15 and 3 are both in the 3 times table. So I can do the same thing again. I can divide this by 3 and say, well, that's 5. And I can divide this by 3 and say that's 1. Now just by doing that, I can now multiply the new smaller numbers to get the answer. So I've got 4 times 5 in the top, which is 20, and 1 times 1 in the bottom. And that's just 20. And that was a lot easier than doing 16 times 15 and 3 times 4 and have to simplify that down, which would have came to 20. A lot harder, especially on a non-calculator paper. Right, let's do the next one. So first thing I want to do, change it into a top-heavy fraction. So I'm going to do 4 times 6 is 24 and add the 1 to get 25. Same thing over here, 5 times 1 is 5, add the 3 and you get 8 over 5. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to try to look for pairs diagonally in the same times table. So I'm going to start with the 25 and the 5. I can see they're both in the 5 times table. So I'm going to score them out and say, okay, I'm going to divide that one by 5 and get 5. And I'm going to divide that one by 5 and get 1. Okay, again, diagonally I'm going to look to see if 4 and 8 are in the same times table. They are. They're both in the 4 times table. So I'm going to cancel them down here. I'm going to divide that 8 by 4 and get 2. I'm going to divide that by 4 and get 1. And then same thing, I'm going to multiply my small numbers. 5 times 2, 10. 1 times 1 is 1. And my answer is 10. Okay, I've got 2 more examples to do. Right, let's look at this one here. 1 3/10 times 4 1/3. So top-heavy fractions. 10 times 1 is 10. Add the 3, 13 tenths. 4 times 3 is 12. Add the 1 is 13 thirds. So I'm looking diagonally to see if I can cancel anything down. 13 and 3, they're not in the same times table. 10 and 13, I can't in this case. So when you can't, you just have to multiply across. So 13 13s are 169. And 3 10s are 30. Now to finish off, change it into a mixed number. How many 30s go into 169? Well, no 5 30s are 150. And that's a remainder of 19. And there's your answer. So cancelling down doesn't always work. It helps to know some of your square numbers sometimes, and also how to multiply, do long multiplication if you needed to do it. If you needed to do 13 times 13, it's good to know how to do it. 3 times 3 and then 3 times 1, drop a 0 and then times by the 1, 1 times 3 and 1 times 1, and add your 2 answers. Right, okay. Last one, 5.5 times 4 4/5. Top heavy fractions first. 2 times 5 is 10, add 1, 11 over 2. 4 times 5 is 20, add the 4, 24 over 5. Look for diagonal pairs that will cancel down on the same times table. Now 11 and 5 are not in the same times table, but I know 2 and 24 are in the 2 times tables. I'm going to cancel that down. Divide that by 2 and I get a 1. Divide that by 2 and I'll get a 12. So you still have to do 12 times 11, which is 132, and 1 times 5, which is 5. Now how many times does 5 go into 132? Well, if you're not sure of that, what you could do is you could do a wee divide sum at the side and say 1, 3, 2 and 5. Sorry about the writing, it's in my mouse here. 5 doesn't go into 1, so it'll be 5 into 13, that's twice, remainder 3. And 5 into 32 is 5 6s are 30 and the remainder is 2. Just put a wee remainder 2 here. So I know that goes in 26 times with 2 left over. 26 times, there's my 2 left over. That should be a 5 at the bottom. That there is a fifth, 2/5.